have a lot of respect for those of you in this area that did not stand up because they told you to. All the people are over here are like, we're participating. We're willing to give a standing ovation to this guy that we've never heard of before, and we have no idea if he's funny or not. But you guys were like, he's gonna have to earn it for us. And I appreciate you for that. I like that. You guys are me. You guys are the rest of the parents at the Christmas concert I went to this winter. The parents give standing ovations at every band concert I've ever been to. Do you do the same thing here in Utah? Every single concert that you go to for the children standing ovation? Well, I know you guys don't. But every single one. I don't think we're doing the kids a service. I don't think it's good for them to give them a standing ovation every single time. Recently, I was like, girls, you gotta go practice your instruments. And they go, last concert, we just winged it. We got a standing ovation. We're naturals. I appreciate you guys. This is my first time ever in Salt Lake City or Provo. Or first time in both of those places. Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you. Thank you. I'm enjoying it very much. It's beautiful. I didn't know how beautiful it is. And also, I really enjoy being the bad boy in town. I like that. I like that a lot. This is the first time in my life where I've been a bad boy. But I am here. And I'm not just saying that to be funny. I've had an experience already. I've been here one day, and I had an experience. I was walking from the hotel to over here, and there was a red light and no cars, so I walked across the street. And there was two kids also at the intersection. There was a boy and a girl, and the girl goes, I can't believe he's just walking across the street. That's the bad boy attitude I'm bringing to this city. I still look both ways, but I don't wait for any traffic signals. I mentioned my girls already. They're my stepdaughters. I'm a stepdad. Stepdad took over the lease on a couple of girls a few years back. Thank you very much. Are there other step-parents here? Any other broken homes? Just a few. Good. Glad you were able to come out. Where's the stepdad at? Somebody raise your hand, your stepdad. Right back there. I said raise your hand, you clap. I mean, you guys still appreciate it. How many stepkids do you have, sir? One, great. And are you and your wife going to have more, do you think?
Got one on the way.
Got one on the way. Congratulations. Good for you. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. I think that's fun. I would love to have more, too. I would love to have more. And I would probably love them more than the old ones. Don't you think that would be true? I mean, probably. Of course, not on purpose. Of course, you would do your best to love them exactly the same. And they would never even know unless they watched this special. I would do my best to love them exactly the same, just admitting that I'm a human, and there's a small chance that I would love the new ones more, and there's nothing that I could do about it. And for those of you looking at me being judgmental right now, why don't you pretend for a moment that you spent your whole life wanting to have a boat. You wanted to grow up and be a boat owner. And then one year you married someone that had a boat, and it was everything you thought it was gonna be. And you love that boat, and you helped take care of it. And then the next year, you made your own boat using nothing but your genitals. Which one are you gonna be more excited about? That's all I'm trying to say. It's not, I don't even think it makes you a bad person. I think it's just a pride of workmanship type thing. And of course, you love the old boat. You love the old boat forever, because that's the boat to let you know that you enjoy being the captain of a ship. But if there was a hurricane and you only had time to save one of your boats from the harbor, you know which one you would pick. It's a lot of pressure being a step-parent. It's a lot of pressure. I love the responsibility, but it's a lot of responsibility. I walk around with a weight on my shoulders every day of responsibility, just knowing that I'm the third person on an emergency contact list. That's terrifying. Being one's not a big deal. Number one's not a big deal, but number three, if they call me, that means there's been an emergency, and it's been going on for a long time. It's probably multiple emergencies if they make it to my name on the list. There's not even a line on the form for stepdad. That's a writing candidate on the back of the form. I'm third in line to be in charge of these kids. I'm like the Speaker of the House. If it's me, some big stuff has happened. My girls are teenagers now, 14, 16. Got a couple teenagers at home, and they're really embracing it. And every time I tell people I have teenage daughters at home, they're always like, oh, good luck with that. It's really tough. Just somebody said it just now. No one can resist from letting you know how difficult it is. And it is difficult, sure, but I think I'm good at it because I know how to talk to teenagers. I speak their language. Just the other day, they asked me for a ride to the mall, and I said, oh, do I have to? And then later, they're like, are you gonna take us or not? And I go, I was gonna do it! Gosh. They have embraced all the teenage stereotypes. Laziness is the biggest one. I'm proud of how lazy my girls are. People tell me all the time that as a parent, you should want your kids to achieve things that you weren't able to achieve. And I could have only dreamt of being that lazy when I was their age. We didn't have the technology available for this level of laziness. This is gonna make me sound ridiculous to the young people in the audience, but it took me 10 years to watch every episode of Friends. My girls knocked that out in a weekend. We're having dinner together one night, and one of my daughters says, do we have any ranch dressing for this salad? And I said, yes, we do. It's in the refrigerator. And then she said, ugh. And then ate her salad with no ranch dressing. Like she had to take a trip to the Hidden Valley to get her hands on salad dressing. We don't live in a mansion. We live in a home where our refrigerator is in the room that we eat in. She didn't even have to get up. She just sat there and angrily choked down a dry salad because she was too lazy to swivel to the fridge. And I respect that. We took the kids to a corn maze last fall. Are there corn mazes in Utah? Yeah, okay, you guys have them. Pretty pumped up about your corn mazes. If you think the mountains are pretty, you should see these corn mazes we got going on. This lift ticket's from Deer Creek, and this one is from a corn maze. We're at the corn maze together for some fall fun. 10 minutes into the maze, my stepdaughter called me on my cell phone and said, Andy, I'm lost. Yeah, well, you are in a maze right now. That's kind of the exact experience that we paid for this afternoon. Did you think that we had brought you to a corn hallway? What did you think was gonna happen? You're lost? That sounds like I'm getting my money's worth right now. How do you even think I could help you? I am also in this maze. What are you near right now? Corn. Oh, yeah. I remember that part. It's tricky. I knew I couldn't help her, so I tried to motivate her. I said, listen, we're leaving in 10 minutes, no matter what. Good luck to you. If you don't make it, you live here in the corn now. This is your new home. Give my regards to Malachi. He'll be raising you from now on. It's going to be a strict religious upbringing for you. They're my stepkids, but as step-parents know, eventually you start to see your kids have some of your personality traits, even though they don't look like you, and that's really fun for me and terrible for my wife. This happened recently. My wife had to work at night, so she prepared a dinner, and she left a note for the kids that said, put it in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes. That's all you have to do, and then you have your nice home-cooked dinner. My wife got home from work, and my kids had ordered a pizza. She asked them why they ordered a pizza, and they said it seemed like too much work. Fair enough. My wife was furious. She called me. She's like, what do I do? How do I punish them? And I said, did they use their own money? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. I think they won this round. I don't know how to punish them. And then the situation happened again where my wife was going to be gone during dinner time. So she prepared a meal, and all they had to do was put it in the oven. And she said to the kids, do not order pizza. If you order pizza, you're in big trouble. You didn't get in trouble last time because I couldn't believe that you would have done that. So it was so far out of the things that I would expect you kids to do that I wasn't smart enough to punish you in a timely manner. But this time, you'll be in trouble, so don't do it again. She got home from work, and my girls had ordered Chinese. I love those kids. Sometimes my wife asks me to help teach the kids things that I don't believe in. A big one that we've been struggling with is don't talk about people behind their back. And I don't like that because it's been my life experience that is the number one place that you should talk about people. I agree, it's bad to talk about people behind their back and let them find out about it. You should only talk about people behind their back with a trustworthy person. You guys aren't laughing a lot, but are you really telling me you've never talked about someone behind their back, they never found out about it, and everyone just had a positive experience? It came up because one of my girls came home from school, and she was upset because people have been talking about her behind her back. And I felt bad for her because she was upset, and I want to help, and I have some skills that could be helpful in this situation. So I said, if you want, I'll go to school with you, and I'll roast those girls that are talking about you. I'm a professional stand-up comedian. I could destroy a couple of 15-year-old girls. I'll put these girls in therapy if you want me to. I'm on your side. And then my daughter said, Andy, no one knows who you are. All right, I guess the roast has already begun. I felt so bad for her, but at the same time I was scared because she was mad that people talked about her behind her back. I was scared that she might one day find out all the stuff my wife and I say about her behind her back. Because the stuff we say is worse, isn't it? The kids at school are just making fun of her backpack. My wife and I are sometimes like, yeah, we don't know she's gonna make it in life. We don't know if she has the proper tools. And we want her to. I want her to have nothing but happiness and success. But at the same time, I once saw her put a Tupperware in the dishwasher with the lid on it. So we gotta talk about things when you're not around sometimes. They're constantly debating with us. They think everything I say is wrong. That's another teenage stereotype. We had a half-hour debate on whether cold pizza was better than hot pizza. That's a stupid debate, because cold pizza wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for how good hot pizza is. I don't know why I participated in that debate for a half hour. I think I was just happy they wanted to talk to me. I saw them eating cold pizza, and I said, you want me to throw that in the oven? And they said, no, we prefer cold pizza. No, you don't. You are too lazy to heat things up. We've already established that. Cold pizza's fine, but no one prefers it. No one's like, I'll take one pepperoni for delivery, and take your time getting over here. I want the cheese hard by the time it shows up. You know what? Forget the whole order. I'm just gonna get a frozen pizza and I'm gonna lick it till it's soft enough for me to chew. Because I'm a teenager and I'm never wrong. Teenagers are the size of real people, and that will mess with your head sometimes. I walk into the living room and I saw my wife bending over to put a DVD into the DVD player. And I thought, look at that. I think that I'm gonna give her a little smack on the backside, let her know I'm back there, you know? Maybe even forehand, backhand if she leans into it, you know? Not too hard, though. No harder than I beg her to do to me every year on my birthday. So I got my hand cocked back, I'm ready to party, and then, out of the corner of my eye, I see my wife in the other room. Is everyone following along? The horror show that almost took place in my living room. Thank God I saw my wife in time. Thank God I saw her in time. I don't know what I would have done if I would have followed through on that smackaroo. That would have ruined my life. That would have ruined 7 years of trust built up between stepfather and stepdaughter. If I did that, I think I would have to be like, I told you, no DVDs until you do your homework. We have rules in this house, young lady. I've been married for 4 years now. We had a beautiful wedding. We did this Japanese tradition at our wedding where as a couple you fold 1,000 paper cranes. And then if you're able to finish by your wedding day, you're supposed to have good luck throughout your marriage. We did an Americanized version of the Japanese tradition where the man folds 995 paper cranes. And then the woman folds 5 unrecognizable paper cranes. And then for the rest of our lives, we're just going to tell everyone that we folded 1,000 paper cranes. I hope that the amount of luck that we have in our marriage is proportionate to the amount of cranes that we folded for that afternoon. I don't know why the ceiling's only leaking on your half of the bed. Maybe you should have folded more cranes. 4 years of marriage, it's good. And the biggest fight we ever got in happened the day we moved in together. Here's what happened. I was unpacking my boxes, and my wife saw me, and she said, "What are you doing with those dishes? You bought those dishes when you were living with another woman, and I don't want another woman's dishes in my home." And I understand that point of view, but before you decide that she's right and I'm wrong, I like to remind you that my wife has 2 daughters. I don't think I'm being unreasonable about these dishes. I'm just trying to point out that you didn't show up for the picnic empty-handed. That's all I'm trying to say. If you want to get into specifics, I like to point out how my dishes don't kind of look like my ex-girlfriend. When I met him, they were much younger. When I met him, they were just learning how to lie for the first time. And that's a cute age when they're just trying out lying for the first time. Because little kids don't know how to lie. They suck at it. They don't know about alibis or alternative facts or anything like that. And it's cute to watch them grow into the liars they will be one day as adults. One of them took some candy from our kitchen one night, and she ate it during the night. And the way that we caught her was she left candy wrappers laying on the floor of her bedroom. When we asked her where the candy wrappers came from, she said, "I don't know." As if there was a chance that we were going to say, "Oh, we don't know either." This is a real mystery we have on our hands. We may never know who ate those Twix bars. And my wife was upset. My wife said, "We need to punish her. She just lied to us, and it's very serious." I don't think we should. I don't think punishing her solves anything. That's not smart parenting. If we punish her, we have to let her know that we figured it out because of all the evidence that she left behind. And that doesn't teach her not to lie. That teaches her to hide evidence the next time that she wants to lie. I think we need to be smarter about this. Here's what I want to do. I want to tell her that it was a monster that ate that candy. I want to say, well, if it wasn't you, then it must be that monster that comes to our house sometimes. Thank God the candy was there, or he may have eaten you. Sweet dreams. She just started throwing Tootsie Rolls on the floor of her room every night, just in case. You know what I did? I stayed up every night, snuck into her bedroom. I ate those Tootsie Rolls. And I left the wrappers behind. And that's smart parenting. Gotta keep these kids on their toes. Plus, it's a good life lesson for her. Lying is a necessary life skill. She needs to get better at it. And this way, maybe she'd learn something. Because the first time I said it was a monster, maybe she thought I was telling a lie. But after waking up to evidence that monsters are real for weeks in a row. She's gonna have to accept monsters as a real-world possibility. And that is how you tell a lie, young lady. They're much better at lying now that they're teenagers. Teenagers just have confidence in everything they say, and it will mess with your mind. One night, they're getting ready for bed, and I said, hey, did you brush and floss your teeth? And one of my girls goes, yeah, I did. And I said, well, that's weird, because I just watched you not do it. That's why I brought it up in the first place. It's my fault for phrasing it as a question. And then she said, I told you I did it, and that's all you need to know. Coming at me with an attitude, so I know I have to be a parent right now. So I said, all right, if that's the way you want to play it, I'm just going to check the garbage in the bathroom for dental floss to see if you're telling me the truth. Do you want to change your answer? And she said, I dare you to check the garbage. You're going to feel stupid. At this point, I'm like, maybe she did brush and floss her teeth, and I blacked out for a minute. I've never been that sure of myself. Even now, I think I got khaki pants on, but if someone came up and was like, nice dress, I'd be like, am I wearing a dress? Oh, weird. But the one rule that I know about parenting to be true is that if you make a threat to the kids, if you threaten them, you have to follow through on it, or else the kids are gonna walk all over you. So we walked together to the bathroom to check the garbage for dental floss. And she's talking trash the whole way there about how gross it's gonna be and how dumb I'm gonna feel. We get there, and I look in the garbage, and there's no dental floss. And I turn around triumphant. Stepdad has won this round. My daughter's crying. And the next thing you know, I'm giving her a hug and apologizing. Do you understand what she was able to do to me? She made me mad, and then she got me to apologize for getting mad. She is really becoming a woman. Don't you think? I just think it'd be great if they were bad at getting away with things forever, because right now it's not a big deal. We find some candy wrappers on the floor of the room, that's not a big deal. But a few years from now, we could be finding like rolling papers on the floor of the room. And now we have serious parenting to do. Our kids are experimenting with drugs. And not the good ones that you can get legally over there in Colorado that come in the form of cookies. And there's an ingredients list on the back, and all the ingredients are locally sourced. And all the butter in the cookies comes from pasture-raised cows that only ever eat grass, and they're never forced to live within the confines of a fence, and they're only impregnated during consensual sex with bulls that they're in love with. You gotta go to Whole Foods to get that butter, but it's worth the extra $30. When I was young, my friend got caught with a cigarette, and his mom and dad made him smoke a whole pack of cigarettes and made him never want to smoke cigarettes again. I have a similar idea if we find marijuana in our kid's bedroom. My idea is my wife and I finish it. That's my idea. We finish it, and then their punishment is they gotta hang out with us the whole time. I'm not even a drug user, but I'll do it because I love my daughter. They're gonna hang out the whole time. No, you can't go play at your friend's house. We're gonna watch another one of your soccer games on DVD. These things are hilarious. Everybody's going for the ball at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. You kids gotta spread out. Have you ever even seen people play soccer before? Mary just left the field chasing a butterfly. Heather's digging a hole. This is a disaster. Who's coaching this team anyway? What's that? It's your real dad? Well, my fault then. You know, my bad. I think a tough thing about being a step-parent is I don't have that built-in thing that birth parents have that make them proud of every single thing that their child does. I'm proud of most of the things my kids do because they're super cool kids, but I'm not proud of everything, and people I know that have babies are proud of everything. I've had more than one friend call me to brag about how early their baby lifted its head up. And to me, that's stupid to even mention. But more than one guy has called me and been like, dude, guess what? My baby's lifting its head up way before babies normally lift their heads up. We're probably gonna have to put her in a special school for girls with strong necks or something like that. She's got chubby arms and chubby legs, but her neck is ripped, bro. You gotta cut slits down the front of all her onesies so she doesn't rip it out when she flexes her giant baby neck. I'm jealous of that level of pride. I wanna have that, you know? Here's an example of what I'm talking about. One of my girls came home from school and she said, we ran the mile in gym today, guess my time. I said, I don't know, maybe like 9 minutes. And then she said, 16 minutes. Well, I would not have guessed that you ran the whole time. That's a terrible time for a mile run. Does something go wrong? Was there someone playing defense on your mile run? Did you have to do your mile run through a corn maze? What happened? We feed birds in our backyard. That's a big part of our lives. We feed birds. I don't know what the birds were doing in our backyard before we started spending $30 a month on bird seed, but it was rough times for the birds in the Woodhull backyard. Jangling around coffee mugs out there. Tweet, tweet, food for the poor. My wife loves those birds so much. We were on vacation one time, and we were running low on bird seed, and she got really upset, and she goes, what are we gonna do if the birds run out of food while we're gone? What's gonna happen to the birds? And I was like, well, I guess they're probably gonna die. They're all gonna... We're gonna come home to just a backyard full of dead birds, you know? We're gonna have to rake them up and move on with our lives. We can let the kids play in the piles, but only for the first couple days. One time she came from Whole Foods with Whole Foods brand birdseed, and it was smokehouse barbecue flavor. No, we're not feeding them smokehouse barbecue flavor. I'm gonna eat that. I like sunflower seeds too. Does she think the birds are really in the backyard like, playing again? This is unacceptable. It's Labor Day weekend, you know how we like to do. We were gonna have the robins over for a party, but if we're serving plain, we'll look ridiculous. My wife came into our house the other day and she said, there's a copperhead snake in the backyard. You have to go kill it. I don't know if everyone's familiar with copperhead snakes, but they're venomous snakes. And if they bite you, you could die. And my wife came into our home and told me to fight one to the death. I've never fought a snake in my whole life, and she wants me in a death match, my first time in the ring. That's not how you're supposed to begin new hobbies. You're supposed to build up to the difficult levels. Let me fight a worm first, learn some of the moves. So I said to my wife, I don't want to fight this snake. Here's what I want to do. I want to wait until it leaves. And she said, we can't do that. What if it bites the kids or it bites the dog? And I was like, okay, fair point. Let's just not leave any dog treats or iPhones near the snake, and I think that we'll be okay. Unless that snake's a Wi-Fi router they gotta unplug and plug back in, I don't think the kids are gonna mess with it. How about this? Let's have a barbecue, invite over all the neighbors we don't like. Just let nature take its course. And my wife rejects all my ideas. She wants this snake dead, so here's what she does. She calls our neighbor, and he comes over and kills the snake. And that's not a fun moment in a man's life. To be standing in your own backyard watching while another man protects your family. That sucks. It's had a real negative effect on my self-esteem. She heard something in the night, and she goes, oh my God, I heard something, you gotta go check. And I said, I'm not gonna go check. I'm gonna give Steve a call. This is his job from now on. I don't wanna go check. What if it says Snake's family back to avenge his death? What if we accidentally killed Snake Liam Neeson's son? And now Snake Liam Neeson is in the other room right now, just like, I have a very specific set of skills. That was the first snake that was ever in our backyard. Since then, I've killed 3 of them. I'm on a real rampage. Steve taught me how to do it. He goes, what you do is you take a shovel and you chop the head off the snake and you completely remove the head from the body and you bury it in a separate grave. which makes me think some weird stuff has happened between Steve and a snake at some point in his life, that he has to do this weird ritualistic killing every time he takes one out. I think it's cute. He thinks I'm gonna dig 2 graves. I'm just gonna throw it over the fence when I'm done with it. It's made me a braver man, though, because I'm no longer afraid of snakes, and none of you should be afraid of snakes either, because humans have a lot of advantages in a snake fight. I would say arms are the biggest one. Arms are so useful in a fight. If you don't believe me, find a guy with no arms, and then hit him in the face with a shovel. You're gonna win that fight. I don't enjoy killing snakes. It's not in my nature to kill things. So the last time we had one in the backyard, I called animal control on it. So you guys got to get over here and get the snake and take him to the forest before my wife comes home and puts a hit out on him. And they go, no problem, we'll be right there. It costs $275. And I said, oh, you know what? Never mind. Somebody just chopped its head off. We're all set over here. If you still want the body, it's in Steve's yard. You can find it over there. We have this coffee shop by our house that just started this new thing they do called a toast bar. And if you're not familiar with the concept yet, there's a place where you can go get toast, and it costs $8. Just in case you've ever been at home making toast and thought to yourself, this is way too much work for me. I would like to outsource this job at a 5,000% markup. Toast used to just come free with breakfast. But that's insulting to the toast. So I'm at the toast bar, and I want to treat myself. So I order 1 slice of toast with pumpkin butter on it. And they said, we're sorry, sir, but it's 11:05, and we stopped serving toast at 11. What for? What happened in the back? Did the one guy that owns a toaster go home for the day? How is it possible that you have lost your ability to heat up bread? Is it a union thing? Is toast a breakfast food and you're unwilling to serve it in the afternoon? I found out later that the toast bar opens back up from 3 to 5. Who's running this place? I was so disappointed, but I was hungry, so I placed my order. I was like, all right, you win. I'll take 1 grilled cheese, hold the cheese, put some pumpkin butter on there. We have a dog. Golden Retriever, beautiful dog, and we bought her. We didn't rescue her. I know that's not the popular way to get dogs, but it's also a way that you can get dogs. We wanted to do the rescue thing. We signed up for the Golden Retriever Rescue of North Carolina, and we got denied. And that's kind of humiliating. We filled out forms. They came to our house. And then they sent us a letter in the mail that said, we don't think a dog should be living in your house. We were like, we have kids. And they go, yeah, we're calling those people as well. And we were all really sad. We were all really sad because we wanted that dog. We were sad for about an hour. And then I remembered, oh yeah, if I want, I can buy dogs. So I went out and we bought a dog that hadn't been traumatized by a family that didn't want it. And it's a great dog. It's the best dog I ever owned. And I don't even have any hard feelings towards that rescue organization. In fact, I donated money to them last year. I want to stay on good terms with them, just on the off chance they were right about us, and I need them to rescue this dog. My wife and I are late to everything. It's a big problem in our relationship. It's at a point now where if we have to be somewhere at 6, she tells me we have to be there at 5:30 in order to trick us into being on time. And it never works. And the reason why it never works is because I'm not the problem. That's why it doesn't work. All tricking me does is make me mad for an extra half hour every time we're running late for something. We were running late for the movies. I went to check on my wife, and she was painting her fingernails. And my initial response is anger, because it's dark in a movie theater. No one's even gonna know what you've done. We could paint your face before we head out tonight and no one would know. But I don't say anything, it's my wife. It's the woman that I picked out of all the women on the planet to spend my life with. And I'm a little concerned at how few of you laughed at that. That was meant to be a joke. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Picked out of all the women on the planet? Most of the women didn't even have a chance to interview for the position. Picked her out of a different group. I picked her out of the women that live near me and would say yes if I asked them to marry me. It's a much smaller group. It still means something to me, you know. I love my wife, so when I see her painting her fingernails, keep my mouth shut. I just accept this is the life that I've chosen for myself. I live a life where I never know what's coming soon to a theater near me. And then I looked to see what color she was painting her fingernails, and she was painting them clear. And then my brain exploded. Are you even doing anything? Because it looks like you're pretending to paint your fingernails. If you need me, I'll be in the front yard mowing it with a bubble maker. You let me know when you're ready. I got so many bubbles to pop out here. She told me she painted some clear because it makes her fingernails shiny, and she likes them to be shiny. And I support her in that decision. I want them to be shiny too. I just feel like we could have achieved the same results by ordering popcorn at the movie theater. 1 large popcorn, extra butter, no napkins. We got a look we're going for. She's late to everything. One time, my wife was late to watch Netflix in our own home. And that should be impossible because Netflix starts whenever you want. We picked out a movie, and then she goes, "Don't start it yet. I have to go to the bathroom." And then about a half hour later, I'm just sitting there by myself, wondering what's happened to my wife. I go looking for her. I found her in the shower. And I said, "Why would you take a shower when you know I'm waiting in the other room by myself, staring at a blank screen like a moron?" And she said, "I'm not taking a shower, I'm rinsing off." And that's how my wife beats me in arguments. She just denies that she's doing the thing I said I was mad about, and I don't know how to fight back against that. I'm not smart enough. I have 37 years of life experience leading me to believe that what I'm seeing right now is called a shower. You just told me that it wasn't. I don't know where we go from here. You're in a shower. You're naked. There's water. How is this not a shower? If you were rinsing off, you'd be in a colander, and I'd be holding you under the sink. It's like a bunch of grapes trying to get the pesticides off. It's how she always wins. We were on a road trip one time, and she fell asleep. And I said, "Honey, you got to wake up. I'm sleepy too. I want you to talk to me." And she said, "I'm not asleep. I'm resting my eyes." All right. Are you also airing out your throat? Like, why has your mouth been open for the last 15 miles? You should start chewing because you have 3 gummy bears in your mouth that you don't even know about. That's how I've been staying awake. I'm over here shooting 3s with the yellow gummy bears, just trying to stay alert. I would have kept going, but I'm only giving you the gross flavors. You think you're gonna get a red one? You're not even awake, you're out of your mind. Sometimes people ask me what my wife thinks about being in so many of my jokes, and maybe this will explain it to you. I did some of those jokes on Conan about her being late to things, and hundreds of thousands of people watched it on the internet and liked the video and wrote comments about how funny it was and how they have someone in their life that's the same way. Other people wrote comments about how I look like fat versions of celebrities, but those aren't the ones I want to focus on. So, my wife was running late for something, and I brought up this video to her as evidence. I said, hundreds of thousands of people have laughed at this video, almost as if in agreement with my point of view that it's crazy that you're late to everything. Doesn't that make you want to change your lifestyle? Just a little bit? And she looked at me and she said, "Me being late is our #1 source of income right now." Thank you very much for coming, guys. Good night. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks so much for... I'm King Arthur now, apparently. I'm the king. Thank you for being here, you guys. This is really exciting. It is great to be here with VidAngel. We are going to put those filters to work tonight. None of my jokes are particularly dirty or anything. I just like to tell my jokes naked, so... just a thing I do. If you're watching this clean, then like in about 10 seconds, your video is just gonna cut, and I'll be like waving goodbye and like tightening my belt buckle and... and that'll be it. No, I'll leave these on. This is kind of my look these days. It's kind of the look of a man who's run out of ideas, you know? That's what I would call it. It takes you a while to kind of find your look, you know, how you're gonna dress, how you're gonna present yourself. There's like a really key moment, I think it usually happens like in high school, where you become like clothing self-aware, you know? You see a photo of yourself, and then for the first time, you're like, huh, so that's how those clothes always look on me. Okay. And you realize the past 16 years have just been Old Navy draped across your lumpy body. And that's a big moment, you know? You can start to build from there. That's ground zero. It's a good moment. I've learned something about buying clothes over the years. You know how they say you should never buy groceries when you're hungry? It's the same sort of thing. You should never buy clothes when you have high self-esteem. Don't ever do it. Maybe one day a month, I totally am the guy who can wear Nike high tops, you know? But the other 29 days, I'm not. I'm this guy, all right? It's a bad investment. I don't know. I was buying shorts last summer, and it must have been like a good self-esteem day, because I tried on the shorts, and they went down to like about here. And I was like, yeah, these look like shorts that a straight man could wear. And they weren't. Absolutely were not. But you don't have those thoughts when you have high self-esteem, you know? You need the low self-esteem to rein you in a bit. Because if not, you have thoughts like the one that I had, which was, yeah, they're a bit shorter than usual, but Daniel Craig wore short swim trunks in Casino Royale, and no one gave him a hard time. And like nothing seems wrong about that statement. It's like, yeah, that's a good point. Ladies love Daniel Craig. 00 Heaven, yes. I'll take 3 pairs. And then sure enough, you try them on a week later, and you're like, why are all these tiny boats on my shorts? I look like a body-positive sailor. I can't wear these with my high tops. Bad choice. What I do, I try to imagine my high school bully whenever I try on clothes. And I'm wearing the outfit, and if he leaves me alone, I can feel good about the outfit, you know? That's the ultimate test, you know? It's like where like self-consciousness meets self-defense, you know? My high school bully, his name was Tyler Johnson. If that sounds like a made-up name, it's because it totally is. I'm afraid he's gonna like track me down, be like, saw your special, Alan. We're just gonna play it safe. I don't know what his comedy preferences are, you know? But I don't know. I owe my whole fashion sense to that bully, you know? It feels weird to kind of praise a bully like that, but I don't know. Sometimes you're walking around the grocery store and you see one of those guys who has like the cargo shorts with way too many pockets and that like square looking haircut, and you're just like, man, that kid did not get bullied enough. Yeah. I mean, bullies do a lot of terrible things, but they do get you out of that phase, you know? It's nice to get some honest feedback once in a while. You see, I learned from a very young age that if I wore the free t-shirt I got from Chili's the night before to school the next day, Tyler Johnson was gonna twist my nipples, okay? And I'm better for that, okay? Basically, a bully's job is to say terrible things about you and make you feel bad about yourself until you're old enough to just do that naturally for yourself. Thank you. You guys just applauded bullies. I hope you're okay with that. Take a look in the mirror. Wow. All right. So I am pretty nervous tonight, not gonna lie. I know I seem so composed and in command of the situation right now. But I do get nervous, and I've come up with like a strategy to deal with it over the years. Full disclosure, it doesn't work. It is not a good strategy, but I'll teach you, all right? So I'm a college student, and we'll do a practice example. Let's say I'm about to go take a test, and I'm nervous for the test. Here's what I do. I get ready, and I tell myself, don't be nervous. This test doesn't even matter. And that would be like a great place to stop, but I tend to overcorrect. I'm like, yeah, this test doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And I mean, I guess it works. Like, I'm never worried about the test anymore. I don't get out of bed the next day. But it does work. You get rid of one problem, but it's only by creating a much bigger problem. It's like you don't want to do laundry, so you set your house on fire. Guess it works. I don't know. I do like the same thing if I'm nervous before a date. I'm like, don't be nervous. Love is just an illusion and everyone dies alone. But sure, Karen, I'll go see Zootopia with you. Then I am cool as a cucumber the rest of the way. So, yeah. I don't know. It's probably not a healthy way to deal with stress, you know? Some people call it an existential crisis, but I give myself existential pep talks, you know? That seems weird. I don't know what LeBron James does to get ready for a game. You know, I don't know what he has in his Beats by Dre headphones, but I'm pretty sure he's not bumping Crime and Punishment, you know? I am pretty sure about that. Can you imagine that post-game interview? Like, wow, LeBron, excellent performance tonight. How did you manage to stay so calm and so composed out there? Well, Doris, just tried to remember that Raskolnikov killed a man and filled no guilt. Well, it certainly showed tonight, LeBron. I don't know what's in those Beats by Dre headphones. Maybe that's what he does. I don't know. We can't be sure. I'm not nervous, though. I'm good. Like I said, though, I'm a college student right now. I'm actually about to graduate in 3 months. Yeah. Thank you. College is a really exciting time because, you know, it feels like you can make your life into whatever you want it to be. You can be a totally different person than you were in high school. You know, Tyler Johnson's not twisting your nipples anymore. The door is wide open. You know, you can follow your dreams and do what you're really passionate about. which is why I chose to study accounting for 5 years. Yeah. I don't know, do you ever look at your life and you're just like, who did this? Who thought this would be funny? Oh, I did this, that's right. So I'm an accounting major. The program I'm in is really competitive. It's a tough program. And being in a tough business school is like being on a sinking ship where they have to like throw stuff overboard so the ship stays afloat. Except instead of throwing over excess cargo, it's all of your likes and interests. It's like, we gotta get this off the ship. What's in there? Feelings. Don't have time for those this year. Just gonna have to do without. Why did we ever come aboard the USS Business? We were so enticed by the exotic destination of a business park in Billings, Montana. I don't know what one would do on the USS Business if that were a real thing. Like, what's the nightly entertainment? You just get drunk and watch TED Talks? Is that what happens? We got Ted in the house tonight, I guess. It's just the reaction I was going for. When I tell people I'm studying accounting, I usually get the same reaction. They just kind of like recoil, you know? They're like worried I'll get it on them or something. I'm like, don't worry, it's not contagious. It will kill you though. Accounting students, we know it's not cool to study accounting. It's fine, we know. We try and convince ourselves otherwise, you know? There's like not a week that goes by without one of my professors saying something like, so as you can see, accounting actually is pretty cool. And just as a general rule of thumb, if you have to remind yourself how cool something is, it's probably not that cool. The only time you say stuff like that is if you like accidentally hear a Wiggles song or something. And you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool, actually. Kind of got a disco bend to it, huh? You know, it's not like Bono finishes a concert and he gets all of his friends together and he's like, so as you can see, fronting the influential Irish rock band U2 is actually pretty cool. Really gives me a chance to use my creative problem-solving skills. Add me on LinkedIn. I'll be performing on the USS Business next week. Check it out. My first day in the business school, this is a true story. I walked by a classroom and there was a professor who was giving a lecture, kind of introducing his class. And he said, ever since I was a child, I've always been passionate about quality management. Okay, that's what we're going with? That's the line? Ever since you were a child. So in elementary school, when kids are going around the room introducing themselves, and Timmy's like, I like comics! And Becky is like, I like ponies! You were like, boom, quality management. That's you. If any of you kids need some quality managed, just hook me up, you know? I'ma manage it. It's what I do. As I've gone through the accounting program, though, I've kind of felt more and more like comedy is what I want to do with my life. You know, I don't want it to be just a hobby. And that's not like a joyous realization that a person has, you know? It's like when Harry Potter tries on the sorting hat and he's just like, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. That's my attitude towards comedy, really. It's not... You know, like, you don't tell your parents you're planning on doing comedy without, like, really preparing them before you tell them that. Just like, listen, guys, I felt this way for a long time, and this is something I feel I've always known about myself. Like, it's fine, we saw the shorts, we know. One step ahead of you there. No, nothing. But I don't know. realizing that you want to pursue a career in comedy, that's like taking like years of self-reflection, and you wake up one day and you realize that the only thing that will make you happy in life is being a Cleveland Browns fan. You know, like, the next couple of years are gonna be pretty rough, It's gonna be like at least 15 years before anything good might happen to you, at the very earliest, You don't think I don't know. Comedy as a career, wouldn't wish it upon anyone. Probably, is it as bad as being a Browns fan? I don't know, who's to say? Do any of you know who Dave Logan is? The iconic Cleveland Browns player? No, your team plays in Cleveland, all right? A city whose greatest cultural achievement is the Drew Carey Show. All right, your logo is a brown helmet, all right? You can't even put the logo on your helmet because it would create this infinite sequence of helmets inside of helmets. Wouldn't wish this life on my worst enemy, But now I tell my fellow accounting students that I'm thinking about pursuing a career in comedy, and that gets the room quiet really quickly. Everyone else talks about where they're going to work when they graduate, and they're like, Deloitte, KPMG, Goldman, and I'm like, comedy writing. And they're like, oh, what's the starting salary on that? $0. $0? Yeah, well, any currency, really. Take your pick. How about you? What are you going to study? What are you going to work in? Quality management. It's a good career. It's fair. I'm looking for a job right now, though. Something to pay the rent while I pursue a career being a Cleveland Browns fan. It's hard to find a job, though. There's a lot of things that suck about it. Resumes, filling out cover letters, thinking you're dead. Just me. I'll explain myself. So, a couple of summers back, I was in high school, and I'm looking for just like a crappy summer job, something to just hold me over. And you have like the jobs you want, but then you have like the subway tier, I call it. It works on two levels because subways are below the ground and because the restaurant Subway is not a place you want to work. Why it's called the subway tier. Anyway, I didn't hear back from any of these places, and after a week of not hearing back from Pizza Pie Cafe, there's some part of you that really wants to believe that this is all just like a weird sixth sense thing that's happening, You've actually been dead for a month. I actually had a thought cross my mind this summer when I was like, well, maybe something just killed me and I didn't notice, Thinking I was dead was easier for me to accept than the fact that Pizza Pie Cafe did not want to interview me even. It's not a good feeling. A lot of the jobs I applied for that summer, though, they have you fill out these quizzes, and they always tell you the same thing. There are no wrong answers. Which, why are we taking this then? If that's, well, look, another perfect score. An impressive batch here, huh? They always ask you questions, like an employee or a customer pays you too much money. Do you keep the change for yourself or do you go give it back to them? And obviously they want you to say you're going to give the money back, right? The weird thing, though, is one of the quizzes I was taking, instead of giving me a right answer and a wrong answer, they just gave me 2 wrong answers. There was no longer any right choice. So they're just like, do you steal money from the register or do you blame it on your coworker? I'm like, hold on, I don't want to do either of those things, okay? Surely there must be a right choice here. feel like the hiring manager must have been watching Breaking Bad or something when they wrote this quiz. It's like, all right, the feds are hot on your tail, all right? Do you take the money and leave your family, or do you shoot the cop? I did not know there was so much moral ambiguity to making a pizza. Listen up, kid. This is the real world, okay? This is Pizza Pie Cafe. Things ain't so black and white out here. Sometimes you can't tell where the cheese stops and the pepperoni begins. We need an employee who's not afraid to make the hard choices and step on some throats. It seriously felt like they were just gonna bring me into the interview and like hand me a gun and there's like an old lady tied up in there. Finish the job. You said you'd do anything to get this job, now prove it. So I killed her. Didn't get the job though. Not enough experience, I guess. Experience of hiding old ladies' bodies in pizza dough. Oh well, you live and learn. So yeah, looking for a job. I did find an apartment though. It's a really nice place. I'm really happy with where I'm living now. And I actually got to live there by myself for about a month. I had a month before my roommates moved in and just had the place to myself. And it turns out that you learn a lot about yourself when you live alone in like a very short, concentrated amount of time. So I learned I still totally believe in ghosts. Like very much so. I always thought of myself as like a very rational person, you know. I don't just project, you know, superstition onto things I don't understand. Yeah, that lasted a day. When you live alone, your life turns into the Blair Witch Project, all right? You see the world in grainy found footage. And you're always late to stuff because anytime you need to like go downstairs or cross a corner, it's stretched out for like 3 minutes. It takes way longer than it should. I don't know. On one hand, I totally get it. There are no ghosts. We all know that. But when it's like midnight in your apartment and your pipes are creaking and you don't understand why, or you walk by your TV and it crackles and it just goes, 6 days left! I don't know what that is. We may never understand. So yeah, ghosts are real. I also found out I get really paranoid when I live alone. Like every single person I see in the street is just waiting to rob me. Which like, believing that a burglar wants to like rob a 24-year-old's apartment, that's like much more unreasonable than believing in ghosts. Yeah. Like what's he gonna, what Ocean's 11 heist are they planning for my apartment, you know? We hear he just got a new toaster for Christmas. It's got 3 slots in it. They're gonna take my Abbey Road poster, you know? He's gonna run off. It's just so well sequenced. Each track is so strong. Just runs off with a poster. No, all right? But that's how I feel. The other weird thing about where I live, there's like lots of kids in the neighborhood where I live, which is a whole weird thing. I found I'm actually really awkward around kids, particularly when their parents are around. Because like, hear me out, all right? Like, you want to seem nice, but not like too nice. Just like sometime in the last year, I rounded this corner where I'm no longer the one in danger in Stranger Danger. And that's a weird feeling. very sudden realization you have, you know? We've swapped positions in the van. So now I'm always like way weird around kids when their parents are around, you know? Because it's hard to just kind of like casually slip into a conversation that you don't want to kidnap them, you know? Hard to just slide it on in, you know? So I'll be like out in the street walking home and I'll see a kid and I'm like, oh, hey, did you hear about the new Zelda game? Yeah, it looks really good. I'd totally rather steal that than an 8-year-old boy. Then like the mom walks over and I'm like, oh, hey. And she's like, you want to play catch with Timmy? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to watch. No, I'm not going to watch. Not. I don't even own binoculars. It's a weird feeling, that's all. So I don't know. I'm like, right now I'm just trying to get my life in order for after I graduate, you know? Try to find a job, find a place to live, and, you know, I just want to make my life into what I want it to be, which is oftentimes hard to do, you know? Like, it's easy to say stuff like, you know, I want to be in a healthy relationship and date people, but doing that is like a whole different thing. I had a bowling date last week, is what I'm getting at. Yeah. I know what you're like, bowling, yeah, pretty lame. I told you right up front, this is a man who's run out of ideas, okay? We knew that going into this. But what can I say? It happens like once a year. You just get this urge to, and you're just like, I must bowl! I don't know where it comes from, but there's like some primal thing to bowling. It just feels good, you know? So why not make a date out of it, you know? I don't know if like our ancestors, this is like an evolutionary thing where our ancestors protected themselves by like rolling stones at enemy tribes or something, and that's why it's so good. Can you imagine, like, Chief, a pack of wolves is approaching us. How many of them are there? 10 by the looks of it. I think if we hit the center one, it can hit all of the other wolves as well. I don't know where it comes from, all right? I just know I like to bowl sometimes. So we were on this bowling date, and here's the thing with bowling dates. There's only like this weird 5-second window for you to interact with the other person after you throw the ball, and there's really not much to comment on. And usually it's just like whatever just happened with the ball you threw, which in my case is usually like, oh, 7, that's kind of good, but not that good. Ho, ho, ho. And it's hard to come up with 10 frames of that, you know? Not easy. The girl I was on this date with, though, she was very bad at bowling. And there's like an interesting spectrum with bowling where it's kind of like, aw, shucks, cute. But then you cross like a certain point, and it just becomes like genuinely concerning. Because I honestly don't know how you live to the age of 24 while only bowling at 24, you know? I don't know. Like, I get, on one hand, bowling is a sport. It's fine if you're not good at it. But on the other hand, I also feel like it's just kind of a basic life skill. You know? If you're pouring a glass of milk, it's not okay if all of a sudden you're like, whoa! Sorry, I don't know what happened. Can you show me? Am I doing this right? How do you hold it? It's not okay if you're like driving a car to just veer off into the other lane. We're not like, oh, it's fine, we'll just put up medians. We'll put up medians. Would that help at all? All I'm saying is if you can't bowl like a 75 or higher consistently, maybe Earth isn't the place for you. And for some reason, she got really upset when I told her that. I don't know. I tend to get like really attached really quickly when I date someone. That's kind of like my go-to move. That's my thing. And people always say it's a bad idea. You know, they're like, you know, only fools rush in. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Which is fine, but like, where else do you want me to put my eggs, man? Right? Where else if not this basket? And do I look like the guy who has like an abundance of other baskets available to him? Right. Gotta put them somewhere. Have you tried carrying around a bunch of eggs? They just fall everywhere. You have to put them in a basket. Just looking for somewhere to put my eggs. It's actually what my Tinder bio says. It's just... Gotta put those eggs somewhere. Sometimes getting attached like that gets me into trouble. There was this one time I had a really good date with this girl, so I got home and I was like, I'm gonna look at her Spotify profile. It's an important step because when I look at her Spotify, I get to see if we share the same taste in music or if I need to start the process of convincing myself that I like her music. And I can do either one. I have no preference. I've done both many times before. But I'm going through her profile on Spotify, and I see she has an entire Bruce Springsteen playlist. And Bruce, one of my all-time favorite artists, and I start freaking out. I'm like, she's the one. But then I scroll up, and I notice it's actually her dad's playlist that she's just following. And it's like, oh, what do I do with those feelings I just had? Do I just love her dad? Is that what's going on here? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes, though, it's always cool to me when, you know, from a very early point in a relationship, someone knows that it's going to work out, you know. Every once in a while, you'll like see a guy at a wedding and he'll pull out this note and he'll be like, I wrote this note the very first day I met you. And he reads it off and it's super romantic and it's great. But then at the same time, you also know that for like every guy like that, there's like 8 other guys who wrote that same note and then just totally got dumped. And it's just like, do I keep this note now? Like what if... I guess we could get back together, then it would be a cool story. Like, I almost threw this note away. It makes a great writing sample. Well written. I don't know, though. Like, what do you do in that situation? Do you throw away that stuff, or do you just, like, keep it forever with the hope that things will work out, you know? Is that how you become a hoarder? Maybe hoarders are just the most romantic people ever, you know? The only difference is they keep those notes forever, you know? It was like, as soon as I met you, I never wanted to forget a single day. So I started collecting every single newspaper from every day for the last 20 years. So romantic. I don't know. If you get dumped, I say you keep the note. I think it's a great souvenir. It's basically the romantic equivalent of like one of those Super Bowl t-shirts they make for the losing team. It's a great souvenir, that's all. Keep it. But it's weird. Sometimes you think you know where you're at in a relationship and it turns out you were totally wrong. You just misread the situation. It's happened to me before. It's even happened in situations that have nothing to do with dating. So I worked as a secretary a couple summers back for just this office. And one of my duties as secretary was to water plants in the office. Yeah, and you're like, oh, that sounds much more like a custodian than a secretary. It was a small office. We wore lots of different hats, all right? And the other hat I wore was gloves, all right? So I watered these plants every day, and there were 5 of them. By the time I finished, 4 of the plants were doing pretty well, but one of them was just so vibrant and so green, and it was my favorite plant the whole time I worked there. So my last day in the office, I was talking to my boss, and I was like, whoever comes in after me better make sure to take care of that plant, because it's my favorite. I always gave it extra water, and it's my favorite. And my boss looks at me and is like, Drew, that plant is made of plastic. I watered that plant every day for 4 months. I was convinced it was growing, right? And this was the first time I ever witnessed like my whole dating life flash before my eyes in the form of a plant. I thought we had something special. I made that plant like 3 mix CDs. I thought it was different from all the other plants. Which I guess it was, in the sense that it wasn't actually a plant. Now I just feel like I can't trust plants anymore, you know? To this day, though, I still don't understand. Where did the water go? There's no water there. I didn't make it up. What we had was real. It's interesting to see how people process a breakup, though. You know, some people, their whole life shuts down when a relationship ends. You know, they're like, you don't understand, Drew. No relationship I've ever been in has ever worked out. And I'm always like, well, yeah, you know that's true of literally every currently single person, right? I'm like trying to sympathize with you here. Like, yeah, you're in last, but you're tied with like 1 billion other people. I don't know what you want me to say here. If you've ever had a friend like this, you've probably had the chance to be the person who tries to like rehabilitate them and like get them back out there again, which basically just is you lying to them a lot. Honesty is not the thing they need, you know? It's just like, I don't understand. How did this happen, Drew? Yeah, obviously she thought she could do better. I think if that weren't the case, she would still be with you. But based on how she's not with you, it would lead me to believe that she thought she could do better than you. Does that make sense? Whatever, I'm smart, I'm handsome, I'm charismatic. Well, yeah, but you're not maxed out in any of those things. There's still room for improvement, all right? I wish I'd been more confident around her and been more fun. Yeah, you totally should have. Why didn't you think of that earlier? That might have worked. Whatever, I'll find someone better. Better? I don't know, because like if I lose to my brother in a game of basketball, I'm not like, I just need to play against someone better at basketball. You should find someone worse, you know? Play on easy mode for a bit. I'm not much better at processing a breakup, though, you know. I just get like really emotional in random spots sometimes, you know, like a grocery store or like watching a movie or watching the 2016 film Central Intelligence at your apartment, you know? Why could Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson make it work, but not me? They were polar opposites. They found a way. No, the weirdest place I've ever had just like a random emotional breakdown was at a Craig's Cuts. Craig's Cuts is where I go to get my hair cut. If it sounds like a high-class, quality establishment, it's because it is. Drew, do they give haircuts below $10 there? No. It depends on what day of the week you go, okay? Quality stuff. Anyway, I was at Craig's Cuts, and they were offering a scalp massage the day that I went. And if you've never had a scalp massage before, just kind of, if you go like this is a pretty good preview. Maybe you think there's like a special technique to it. No, it's just Denise going like this. But I took him up on the free scalp massage. How could you pass it up, right? And I'm sitting there, and Denise starts up, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. I like this. I missed this. And then just this crushing wave of sadness just washes over me, just hits me like a wrecking ball, I came in like a scalp massage. Any other place you have just like a random breakdown, at least you can like duck out of the way, get some privacy. But in Craig's Cuts, you're like strapped into your chair, forced to like stare in the mirror as your face slowly changes. Denise is like, everything all right? I'm like, yeah, I just got hair in my eyes. I haven't started cutting your hair yet. That's right, because of the scalp massage. And then you just go home and cry watching Central Intelligence. That's what happens. We've all been there before, This feels like a key time in my life, right before I graduate. I'm about to graduate, be out there in the real world, be an adult, and I want to get things right. I want to have the life that's right for me, and I want to be like a real adult. And so, right before this last semester started, I kind of took part in this like symbolic gesture that to me was going to symbolize the start of my adult life. I bought a messenger bag. That was the day my adult life started. When I mounted that single strap around my shoulder. Because you really can't be taken too seriously with a backpack, just as a rule of thumb. But to me, this messenger bag was a huge symbolic moment. And to be fair, other symbolic moments I've had in my life, there's really only one. It was when I started parting my hair in this direction instead of the other. So that's the bar I'm working with here, It felt like a big moment to me. And so about a month ago, I had my first day of class. I started my last semester and, got my clothes all laid out. I brushed my teeth, I shaved, and then I put on my messenger bag and I was ready. And I get my laptop out and my books and I'm gonna load them up. And none of them fit in the messenger bag! This is how I start my adult life. How was I supposed to know? There wasn't a sample textbook at J. Crew for me to shove in there. Now I just look like the goof walking around campus with a half-empty messenger bag and 3 textbooks under his arm. All right? Look out, world. Here I come! All right, you guys. You've been an awesome audience. That's my time. Thank you so much.